Hello and welcome to One United. My name is Partha Joshi and I'm here along with Wali Siddiqui and Anshuman Joshi. After a break of 2 months, we are finally back. Anshuman and Wali, finally we are able to manage three people on the pod after 2 months. How has been the 2 months? Although we've been trying to record one earlier, but it wasn't possible. We watched the Euros. England lost in the final, and on came the racist abuses online, many things that we need to talk about. Sancho is here finally. Jadon Sancho, after the longest transfer saga in memory of recent Manchester United fans, the previous one being Weasley Schneider, which never came to fruition. And it has been some transfer window up until now. Manchester United moving very smoothly, decisively in this one. Rafael Varane is again now not only linked to United, he is finally a United player. He was first linked when he was not a Real Madrid player. Real Madrid came in and swooped him then.
Yeah,
Now he's finally at United at Old Trafford. He'll be pairing alongside Maguire. We'll be talking about that. Lots and lots to talk about. First of all, welcome Anshuman and Wali. How does it feel to be back?
I'm Chuban, you first.
Will you take it? Nana, you take it.
It feels good. It feels good. Long 2 months. We should have done it before as well. And like I said, everyone has their own commitments, but we are finally over here. And yeah, it was a good 2 months in terms of a fan, in terms of a football fan, because we had some memorable moments while watching the Euros. It was actually quite fun to watch. England finally made it to the finals after how many years was it again? Oh yeah, after 1960, 1966.
1966.
Into
66 after,
yeah,
yeah.
so that was something which was good to watch. We saw some good footballing action from Denmark, and it was all emotional from them. But in spite of that, they made it to the semi-finals. Then, of course, Roberto Mancini. Even if you look at his story, that was remarkable as well. The way that he revived Italian football. So it was all good to see. And finally, we are getting back to business. Premier League season is upon us, and yes, Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho, two signings done. I think we might for the very first time, I have this feeling that Manchester United are acting like a big club. I don't know what's wrong with them, but I'm happy that it's happening. And yeah, more to come.
Okay, Anshuman, give us your thoughts about the whole transfer and about the Euros as well, about how you've been doing in all this while.
Well, I'm glad that we have had football on because I don't know what else we would do without football. And I did make appearance on a different podcast regarding the Euros. I had three different episodes, I think, and I made
Yeah,
some pretty astute estimations regarding who would go far and who would be the underdogs. Something that I'm very proud of. I say that given
right.
the fact that I took very little interest in analyzing the games, I just took a deep back seat. I enjoyed. I wanted to enjoy the football, but
Mm.
honestly, football really took a back seat in the very earliest days when the whole Christian Eriksen thing happened.
Yeah,
And after that, it didn't really matter who won, who lost. We were just at the end of the day, I was just glad that a man was alive. He was happy.
yeah.
He was healthy. He was with his family, and that we were at the end of the day able to celebrate football for what it was. So it wasn't just it was very little analyzing for me and talking about it in great detail. It was me just enjoying the football as it were, and I have been deeply missing football ever since it ended. I know Olympics are going on, and as far as for us Indians, the timings are fantastic because it begins at 1 in the afternoon and continues till 7 in the evening.
Finally,
But
favorable
I
timings. Finally, favorable
yeah,
timings
finally
after long.
favorable timings, and we are burnt out. We are burnt out, and we are not taking that much interest. But the finals are due, and we have women's and men's finals in 2 days, in the next 2 days. So that will be exciting.
Yeah,
And yes, well, Premier League is back. The European season is back inside a week. So
yeah.
somewhere it's already begin. So it's very exciting times ahead that we are now back. We can now talk football up once again. Talking about Sancho's transfer, look, now that we have secured the player, we can obviously be very glad about how this deal has worked out. And had it not worked out, even this season, the same way it happened last season, we would have been made a fun out of, and we would have nothing to say. So yeah, last season we dragged the whole thing. It did not happen. This season we've still dragged to a certain degree, and it just happened. And it's fantastic at the end of the day the way we have secured the deal for
To
just
surprise
73
of
million
many,
pounds.
to surprise of many, it finally happened. I was not expecting it to end so quickly because straight after Euros, the deal was uh, done and
Hmm.
dusted in between. the final
And
few
not
days,
straight
and
after, during the Euros. It happened during the
yeah,
Euros.
the final few days,
Yeah.
yes, in the final few days, and straight after that, Sancho was announced officially, where the whole ceremony and the interview was released and stuff like that.
Mm.
Also, given the way things happened last summer transfer window, and given the way Manchester United usually is, we are not really expected to see operations being handled so smoothly. So that has been quite refreshing. I mean, you have the usual jokes of, what have you done to my club? Where is my Manchester United going around? And that's pleasant to see. It's good to see. I think we spent the entirety of last season talking about the very clearly defined problems that we had, and we talked about the set pieces. We now have a set piece coach. We talked about goalkeeping issues. We have talked about defenders. We have talked about the players that we need. We've talked about right winger, center back, number six. We have two of these players done and dusted, and the season hasn't even begun. And I hope that we can go for that last signing as well. So all the
The
decisions
the
that the club are
almighty
making.
CDM. Are you talking about the almighty CDM?
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
talking about the almighty CDM because I still believe that whoever comes in will be a crucial piece in the final jigsaw. But every noise, everything that you're hearing that is coming out of Solskjaer Center, it's United, coming out of United, are quite interesting. The talks of him trying more than one style of play, trying to incorporate even a back three, trying to incorporate a 4-3-3 as a usual setup where you will have one midfielder sitting in the middle. So all of that is pretty optimistic because we have talked about this very openly and how well defined those issues are, and just have those issues being solved one by one. I think that is refreshing to see that we are not, for the first time, we are not the only ones who are looking at this problem from a distance. People at the club are also looking at that problem. So a lot of things are happening. Even when Joel Glazer finally making an appearance in that fan forum, at least saying that, okay, we'll consider the idea of fan ownership. So these are big steps. Where it will take us, only time will tell. But at least the things are on the right track. So yeah, the transfer is fantastic for us. Sancho's arrival. I don't think Dortmund are begrudging the fact that they are getting less money for him, because he was absolutely crucial in them coming back into Bundesliga last season, not only ending in the Champions League places but also winning the Deutsche Pokal. So they are happy that they were able to keep him for another season, and they're getting a mammoth amount of money for him right now. As far as we are concerned, getting a player of this caliber for 73 million pounds is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, good vibes all around.
Good vibes, and Manchester United finally looking back on track. A certain positivity around Old Trafford, and that has been the case. Shman and Wally summarizing everything regarding the emotions of the fans. Let's talk about Jadon Sancho. Finally, he's a Red Devil. He's a Manchester United player, and enough has been said. Enough has been talked about. We'll just sum it up. We'll be giving the final thoughts of how it feels to have Jadon Sancho as a Manchester United player. Finally, Wally,
Well,
I'll let you go first.
yeah, to sum it up, like I think the subhead over there sums it up quite perfectly. Back then, when we used to watch WWF, now it's WWE. You remember The Rock? He used to come on the mic and he used to say, "Finally, The Rock has come
Oh,
back." So it has that kind of a feeling that he's finally here, because it's been 2 seasons, man, and I wasn't as optimistic after the transfer window shut last season that we might be able to land him, because other clubs would have also be interested. And at the same time, I do not want to praise the Glazers over here, or Matt Judge, or anyone else for that matter. But back then, he was being priced as 120 million, and I think we got him for under 80 million over here. So it's actually quite a
yeah,
bargain if you look at what the situation was. But like I said, I will never praise the Glazers no matter what. And at the same time, I think we were talking about the power of the protests that took place, and I think this also is one of the reasons why the Glazers are now more proactive than reactive. Rather than just focusing on one player, they're now actually proactively making the right choices. Okay, you could say that Fletcher has actually a big role in this as well, Moitog as well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
even if you look at, we'll talk about the midfield targets later, but if you look at the Jadon Sancho signing, it's actually a statement signing. It basically means that, with all due respect, like I've mocked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer like for most of my life, but that guy does have a project in his mind. He has that player pool, because if you attack Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane,
players want to play for him.
irrespective,
Players want to play for him.
irrespective,
They are
yeah,
seeing that.
irrespective of what the results are later on, but you have that project right within you. And I think this is the best that Manchester United has looked since 2008. If you look at the 2008 team, you had Cristiano Ronaldo, Tevez, Berbatov, Wayne Rooney, Nani, all sorts of players, Carrick and Scholes and Fletcher, etc., etc. So I think we are almost there. A DM is an absolute must, and I think we'll be all good. But yes, Jadon Sancho on the right wing, he could also play on the left wing. There'll be a lot of pressure on him. All right, but I think that guy has the capability of doing wonders. He had a slow start to the Bundesliga last season. I think it took him 2 or 3 months to score his first goal, something like that. And then after he scored that first goal, he registered 14 to 15 assists and had 8 goals under his belt by the end of the season. So he's that sort of a player, and he's being welcomed all around. The rival fans of, and even when he was in the transfer market, there were certain Chelsea fans and Liverpool fans who actually wanted him. And all of a sudden,
Yeah.
when he joins Manchester United, Varane and Sancho become overrated, overpriced, etc., etc. You get those conversations. But I'm glad that we signed Varane. I'm sorry, we'll talk about Varane later on. I'm glad that we signed Jadon Sancho, and another good thing that I would like to point out, the final good thing about it, is that remember when we signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he got the number 9 jersey, and then Martial got the 11 jersey, in number 11 jersey. That sort of these sort of things can actually have a negative effect within the dressing room, and this is something which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think, another thing that I'm giving him credit for, although I hate it, but this is something which he's done. Uh, he said that this number 7 jersey is for you. You'll get it soon enough, and I think we're actually taking big strides over here, and there's a big sort of pressure on him as well to deliver. So yeah, so Sancho is ours. Finally, I'm excited to see him.
Sancho is a United player. Anshuman, would you like to add on to something regarding Jadon Sancho?
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see how he fares, especially in the starting few months now that Rashford has announced that he'll undergo surgery. Because he's the kind of guy, Sancho is the kind of guy that is not only adept on the right, which we needed, but he's also equally adept on the left, and he can also play as a number 10. So we are not only getting a player in a position that we actually needed reinforcement in, we are actually getting a very versatile operator. And he has that vibe with him, Jadon Sancho. He has that in his locker. That even though we have spent so much money on him and big money signings not always have pulled off for us, just think about Angel Di Maria and different cases, different players. I get that, but uh, with Sancho, you just feel like it's going to work out. And I don't particularly see him sticking around for United for a decade. This is the kind of player who already always knows what's best for him. He started out at Watford, moved to City, then moved to Borussia Dortmund. For whenever he sought out better chances, he will move on eventually if it comes to that. But I'm really glad that we have him because he's going to be a fantastic player over the next few years.
Okay, fantastic player at that. Talking about fantastic players, another fantastic player that was signed by Manchester United in the recent times, Rafael Varane. He is a Manchester United player. He'll be officially unveiled by the club in, I think, a week or so. And we'll come live again because we'll have to talk in depth about Rafael Varane, the things about the future prospect and how the league is about to pan out. We'll give our predictions then, but we'll talk about what this means for United and especially the pairing with Maguire. Will Rafael Varane and regarding Rafael Varane, and do you think people are overestimating him, or the impact is going to show why he is being touted so highly by United fans?
Should I start or Anshuman?
Yeah, you go.
The funny thing about Rafael Varane over here and the rival fans, once again, I'm going to bring them in this conversation, is that there was this atrocious stat that I read that Rafael Varane has made the most number of errors in the last four Champions League campaigns, and no, in the last four seasons, it was something like that. And those, do you know what what that figure was? Four. So he made four mistakes in the last 4 years for a team that plays more than 50 games because of the Champions League and the Copa del Rey, etc., etc. So there's no need to point something as stupid as that because he is a certified winner. And for those who say that the reason why Rafael Varane was so successful at Real Madrid was because he had Sergio Ramos beside him. Yes, Sergio Ramos is one of the greatest defenders of all time, but Rafael Varane was also quality. For a player to stick for like 2 or 3 seasons, all right, you have to handle him, all right, fine. Probably you could say that Ramos is holding Varane's hand because he stayed there for 2, 3 seasons, then he moved on. But he stayed there for 10 seasons, 10 long years. So he wasn't a rookie over there. He had quality in him. And I remember him making his debut against, I think it was in the Champions League match, if I'm not mistaken, against United. And Mourinho brought him in, and he was quality in that. His Champions League
That
debut.
was
I think it was his Champions League debut. I think
no,
it was
no.
his Champions League debut in
I
2012. The
don't
Van
think
Persie season, was it?
no, no.
I think it was.
No, no, I don't think that was his debut because he was playing really well in that season. I remember this
Hmm.
exactly because he was there when the Real Madrid won 2-1 at Old Trafford, and he was ruined by Nani in that
Yeah,
match, and he was having a fantastic season. He was being touted as the next
yeah,
big
yeah.
thing in Europe and in world football, and then
I think
Nani
this.
ruined him in the short while that he played before getting sent off and the infamous red card and
I think it was. It
the
was in the second
referee
leg.
and
It was
everything
in
like
the first leg where he actually impressed. In the second leg, he was a tad shady. You could say that, but nonetheless, he is a really good player, and I'm really happy that finally Maguire has a very good partner beside him. And there was someone on Talksport, I forgot the name of the pundit. He said that the only thing that worries me is the pace. If there's one thing that you don't pay Rafael Varane off, that is pace, because that is
that.
something
Yeah,
which is his forte. He is one fast centre back. Yes, aggression wise, you could say he's not that nitty gritty aggressive defender like a Sergio Ramos or a Pepe, but he would bring in that solidity at the back, and I think it would be a perfect balance. And another point that I would like to point out over here is that for those people who said that Ramos is the reason why Varane was so successful, Ramos was actually more successful with Varane beside him than Pepe, and the reason
yeah,
for that is also balance. Like we said, Maguire and Lindelof, with all due respect to Lindelof, they're actually, he might be a notch less than Maguire, but they're actually quite similar. So Pepe and Ramos were also quite similar. If you talk about their traits, they were quite aggressive. Either of them had to get sent off in an El Clasico. But when Varane got in there, he actually brought the composure which was actually needed, the recovery pace which was actually needed. He's a technical footballer, good in the air as well. So if there's a signing which I'm most impressed with for United in the last 5 or 6 years, I think it has to be Rafael Varane, because you signed a player from Real Madrid at his peak, and that is something which we actually don't associate as. It's the other way around. So I think it's good to see that, and he's a thorough professional as well. He bid goodbye to everyone. Basically shows that he has the common etiquettes, and I think we actually have a really good professional with us. I think we're going to cherish him for the next 4 to 5 seasons, and this might just turn out to be. I think yeah, Sancho is good, but this was just perfect, I guess. Parizosh, you
Rafael
there?
Varane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, able to.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So according to Wali, a perfect signing. That is Rafael Varane. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford a bit. Marcus Rashford is set to miss out the start of the season, and this is going to be interesting because now this paves way for a certain Anthony Martial or Daniel James or Jadon Sancho to play from the left, while the right wing will still be in rotation between Jadon Sancho or Mason Greenwood. What are your thoughts about this? And I think he'll be coming back in October, according to reports right now. So, how do you think United are going to cope up with this particular loss? I'll talk to
Anshuman, you can
Anshuman first.
start.
Anshuman, you can go.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as I've Rashford personally is concerned, I think I'm very glad for him because even in Euros, I know that it doesn't work this way, but the fact that he did not have to play way too much must
Yeah.
have contributed to a certain degree towards recovery. And now that he's actually going for surgery, it's great because we have seen with United players that they usually end up delaying the surgery and it just aggravates and gets worse. So I'm glad that that is happening. I'm glad that he's able to get that time off and have surgery, have that looked after, and then recover, come back only when he can. it will be interesting to see what we do because Sancho can play from the left, Dan James can play from the left. If Pogba sticks around, he can play from the left. Martial can play from the left. So we do have options, and we should be able to be fine without Rashford at this point because we have quite a few options going into the season at least. So yeah, there are quite a few combinations that we can look and try out, and I'm not that worried about the left hand side particularly. Right hand side that would have been a different discussion as it had been over the last season, but left not that much. And I hope that Rashford takes his rest, gets makes a full recovery, takes his time most importantly because it's a crucial age for him. He's reaching 24 years of age. He'll be 24 in October. Being fit at this time is very crucial for him. So I hope that he makes that, he does that, and he comes back fitter than ever.
Okay, Wally, what are your thoughts about Marcus Rashford, and what do you think is going to
Um,
mean for your favorite player, Anthony Martial?
I'll talk about Martial in a while, but first let's talk about Marcus Rashford. You know what annoys me over here is that you knew it deep down that Marcus Rashford wouldn't be fancied by Gareth Southgate, and neither would Sancho. But I think Rashford also knew that he wouldn't get much game time over there. I don't know for some reason he didn't give him. He brought him for the penalties. That was something which uh, it's I wasn't able to
Even
comprehend
Saka
what was.
giving the fifth penalty to Saka doesn't make sense.
No, basically, yeah, that was something. There's a whole different new argument. But getting a player who hasn't played in the Euros and then making him take a penalty in a final against Italy, against one of the best goalkeepers in the world, that was something which I wasn't able to understand, and which is why I wanted Rashford to not take part in the Euros because I knew that he wouldn't be getting as many chances. The reason for that is that Gareth Southgate doesn't rotate his team as much. So it was quite. You already knew that he wouldn't be getting much opportunities, and neither did Jadon Sancho. So I think 1.5 months of that was quite wasted. I think he could have had his operation there, and I think he would have returned to Manchester United earlier because he is a pivotal player for us. But I wish him all the best. I hope he recovers soon enough because it's we need leaders on the pitch. He is one of our leaders. He's a really good player. And yes, it's a big season for Anthony Martial. There's plenty of pressure on him, and we all want him to deliver. And yeah, you could say that the people are giving him an ultimatum that this might be his final season and all. But I think right now, even if he's not starting in the 11, I don't think Anthony Martial is a really big problem for us. I think you have players like Phil Jones, Andres Pereira, and Diego Delo, whose futures are unresolved at the moment. You have Nemanja Matic, Juan Mata, who are aging. I think we need to get rid of these players and bring in better replacements because Anthony Martial, even if he's not playing well, even if he's not starting, he's a good squad option. Just like what I thought of Jesse Lingard, I think he's a really good squad option. And you're looking at him at the preseason. I think he's been our best player in preseasons, and even while playing for West Ham. And I'm actually glad that he's not going back to West Ham. I don't know. I think that in games in which your number 10s are not working, your Paul Pogba or your Bruno Fernandes is not are not working good enough. I think Jesse Lingard off the bench would offer us something really different, and I would actually fancy him for the upcoming season as well. So yeah, uh, there's plenty of expectation on Martial, Jesse Lingard. I hope he delivers as well, and I hope Marcus Rashford returns soon because, like I said, we need his qualities from left.
Anshuman, are you with us? Uh, we'll shift the conversation if you're listening. Okay, let's talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's contract extension. Ole has been given a new contract, much to surprise of many United fans. And Anshuman, you in particular, wasn't, or any one of us wasn't expecting this. But here it is, Ole in as of now. And what are your thoughts, Anshuman? I'll talk to you first about this.
It's not as much that I wasn't expecting it to happen, but I was very stern about that. I did not want this to happen, and it's a weird tightrope to walk with between Ole in and Ole out because everyone is usually very binary about this. Even when you go to social media, I know it's not the right barometer for anything. You either have to call him shit or you have to call him a genius, but you cannot call him anything. You cannot provide a nuanced argument where you can want him for a while and then not want him. And that is where I stood. I said that I did not want. I wanted him to for the third season because I love what he has done so far. And yes, all the things that he has done he has done, keeping in mind the fact what Manchester United is, what Manchester United being at Manchester United entails. And he has been there as a player. He has now been there as a reserve manager. He is now there as a manager. He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it from the ground up. He's doing from the back end, and you do not get a trophy for that. But obviously, trophy becomes a barometer. And for many football fans, it's simply that if the manager hasn't won a trophy, then that's shit. And I do not subscribe to that idea. So I've always said that no matter what happens, Solskjaer's appointment will always turn out to be a very interesting one, a fruitful one. It has helped United much more than I expected. And yet, given the way the past 2.5 years had fed, 1.5 years of Solskjaer had fed, I did not want him a contract extension. I wanted to see, because this is the first proper pre-season he's getting in. We've had 2 consecutive seasons essentially right now. And you talk about the more very definitive issues that we have, and what not only what is expected of the players, but also what is expected of the manager. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. And we talked about what needed to change. That Solskjaer need. I have written about this. I've talked about this. That Solskjaer needs to come up with more than one styles of play, because having McFred as the biggest, as our best option is not going to work. And we have talked about how his hands had been tied last season as well, because we did not get a lot of players. We're now getting those players as well. So he is now being put in a position where he has going to have to perform, and which is why the way he has been building up so far. I wanted him to stick to have a third season before he got a contract extension. I wanted to see whether the issues that have plagued us over the past 2 seasons, whether they improve or not. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, we have to win this, otherwise everything is a failure, because this is not how football works. Football is about randomness. Sometimes things does not work out. But what is in our control is that we at least address the issues that we have, and we deal with them. Right? I want Solskjaer to look at those issues and deal with them. And that has been happening so far. But I wanted to see whether Manchester United can perform, whether the issues that have plagued Manchester United, whether we can deal with them, or whether we can improve upon that. That seems to be happening. But I would have liked if we just gave Solskjaer a third year. And not only because I wanted to see what happens, but also because Solskjaer is not the kind of player, of a manager, that in any other team is going to come for him. Because I've been reading his book that Jimmy Jackson wrote about him last season. And Solskjaer is not the kind of manager who's going to go to a Real Madrid or a Barca. He's the kind of manager who, when he leaves Manchester United, will either go to the Norway's men's national team or go back to Molde or Clausengen, where his career actually started. That is the kind of player man he is. He's a hero in Norway, essentially, like we have Sachin Tendulkar in India. That is not me exaggerating it. That is actually the case. So that is what we have with Solskjaer. You don't have any kind of obligation to give him a contract. So otherwise he'll go on. He will not go on. This is his magnum opus. This is the greatest job he could ever have asked for. So you have a perfect situation with a manager who's doing a lot of good, and you don't need to give him a contract. And still you have decided to give him another 3-year extension. So you put yourself in the same position which you did with David Moyes when you gave him a 6-year contract, and put yourself in the same position when you gave Jose Mourinho a big contract, and so then sacked him in the same year you gave him the contract in. So, which is what did not want United to end up in a situation. I've always talked about this, that in the third season, if United do not improve upon the season before, if we see that the issues that plagued Manchester United continue to plague Manchester United, that implies stagnation, and that would mean that someone else would have to come in and build up on his work. And that's what I've always talked about with Solskjaer. But it seems like he's addressing the issues. He's addressing the shortcomings that we had player wise and otherwise as well, functionality wise as well. And all we can do now is wait and see whether United actually perform better. I don't think we are title contenders. I think Chelsea are right now under Thomas Tuchel. I'm not the kind of person who is like, if we don't win silverware, everything is a failure. I just want us to improve from the season that we had before, and I want to see whether the issues that we had continue, or we actually build upon it. That might give birth to new issues, and that is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Issues arrive all the time, but I want to see how he deals with the challenges that he has in front of him. And so far, he's been proving that he can. So, see, look, he has an extension now. There's nothing else we can do about it. I will still say that I would have rather liked to have him given the third season and then see what happens. The same way I would have liked him to complete his tenure when he was given the interim charge, and then announced whether we were going for to give him the permanent role or not. That didn't happen that time as well. This time also is given a permanent extension. Personally, good for him. He's been doing a decent job. He has exceeded my expectations. Now all we can do is wait and see. As fans, that's all we can do. Just wait and see what happens.
You're on mute, Baradosh.
Okay, Wali. So I think that sums up Anshuman's point of view regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Do you have any different opinion, or you have anything to say regarding this?
Yeah, I was. To be honest, I was also expecting him to be given a contract, irrespective of what I thought, because I thought that he finished in the top four, he finished in the second spot, and he has the players on his side, so that's pretty much enough for the Glazers to be convinced about him. And now he has a decent set of players. It's actually an upgrade for him. And if we get a DM, for example, there are being talks with Ruben Neves and recently I just read Fabrizio Romano. I just saw Fabrizio Romano's YouTube channel. He said that United will also be having a meeting with Saul Niguez's
So,
agents, which he's actually a quality player. He plays for Atletico Madrid and he
and
was
Kamavinga.
quite decent.
And
And
Kamavinga. Saul
Kamavinga,
and
but I
Kamavinga.
think Kamavinga, I don't think
Youth
that he'll be
prospect.
coming into the Premier League. Yeah, he's a good prospect, but I don't think he'll be coming to the Premier League. Although I would be excited to have him, but I think if there's anyone out of the three I would choose, I would definitely choose Saul Niguez. He knows how to actually hang in there, at the pivot. He's played for one of the best managers in the world, Diego Simeone. He's played at the biggest stages, so he has that experience as well, Champions League, etc. So Saul Niguez would be a good prospect, but when it comes to expectations, uh, if it was some other manager, I would have said that we are the short title contenders. But since it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, although we have a good squad, I honestly do not believe that we have like we might compete. And honestly, what I want from Solskjaer is that even if he doesn't win the Premier League, I want us to be there and thereabout with Manchester City. It shouldn't be a 15-point gap or a 20-point gap. It should be like something we should be there till at least the final month, that you're in the conversation. That is something which I want. If we do that, then fine, good, we can go to the next step. But yes, it's been like we spoke about how important silverware is. Well, it's been 4 seasons since we last won it. I hope we end up winning a major trophy over here. We definitely do have the team over here. Uh, we are not able to sign the likes of Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane just based on a project. They also signed for Manchester United because they believe that they might be able to win silverware at this great club. And if you look at Jadon Sancho, he's just 22 years old. If he wanted to, he could have joined a Real Madrid or a Manchester City if he only looked enough. He looked hard enough elsewhere. But deep down, I think Solskjaer knows it's time to deliver. And if he gets a DM, and there are also talks that we might have a backup right back, Trippier might actually be a decent signing as well. I think we have a really, really good chance of doing something significant. It's up to him now. He needs to be a little bold. He needs to be a little brave. Just because we lost 6-1 to Tottenham last season, that doesn't mean that we resort back to McTominay and Fred. We need to be a little brave. Like I said, interim manager Solskjaer was fearless. He went on to win 15 or 16 games on the bounce. And the reason for that was because he knew that he might possibly not get the job. So he actually played with a lot of flair, and which is why he actually got us a lot of results. And now he knows that he has a job to protect, because of which he is a little conservative at times. So I just want him to be a little fearless. I think he can do it if he wants to. And it's going to be an interesting season. So that's my expectations with it. You're on mute again.
That's only about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Rohit says Manchester is blue for some of us. Well, for some of you, you are glory hunters then. Let's talk
They
about
need they're gonna buy the league for 100 million once again. I mean, like 100, 200 million, like 200 million.
Jack Grealish.
They're
Jack
gonna,
Grealish for 100 and
yeah,
150 million
and now
plus.
Harry Kane also didn't show up at training today, so they might
Yeah,
sign
yeah.
him as well.
So
So
that
I'm
is
like,
going to be big. That is going to be big. Who else can buy him? You don't have
like Pep
any other
Guardiola
club who is
is
going to buy.
such a blessed manager. He gets blessed with such good signings, and then he ends up winning things. So it's lucky. He's just
That's a lot of salt coming out of your mouth, Wally. Let's just skip this topic right now.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Paul Pogba now. Then we'll talk about the remaining few things. Paul Pogba on his way out. Is this going to be his has he already played his final match at Old Trafford, or is he going to stay? The big question is Paul Pogba finally done and dusted for Manchester United? Anshuman, what are thoughts about this particular situation regarding Paul Pogba and the midfield?
My thoughts regarding Paul Pogba remains unchanged since the last time I talked about it, which was a few months
Hmm.
ago. Since the first time I talked about it here, which was a 15-minute rant many months ago, and that is that he should be sold this summer. And as long as we can get that money, and as long as we can get that money and put it back into the squad, he should be let go. This has nothing to do with my lack of admiration for Paul Pogba. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's fantastic. I think he's done some good stuff for us. I think he's fantastic footballer and everything. But I'm at the end of the day a Manchester United fan, not a Solskjaer fan, not a Pogba fan, first a Manchester United fan. And every opinion I have will always end up being what I think is best for Manchester United. And if it ends upon me, that I would definitely let him go for whatever money we can get this summer and put that into, let's say, a number six, because Manchester United were not supposed to have this much, this much investment. We have now spent nearly 116 or so million into players, so we are obviously looking to send some players, to sell some players as well to reduce that. And I think Pogba will be a fantastic way to do that. And Pogba, and I think that this journey has run its course as far as I'm concerned. And my opinion has always been that Pogba is 28. He's the way he's in his prime years. I've already talked in very much detail about why I think he wants out, and I've also talked about why I think we should let him go, because I cannot see him signing a new contract. I cannot see him signing a new long contract. And this is the only summer. Basically, what I'm saying is, this is the only summer we can get a big value out of him, or go 50 to 60 million euros. And I think we should take that. I think that is a fantastic amount. We should take that. I don't agree to people who say that this makes Pogba flop because we're not getting 100 million for him. That's not how this works. He's in his final year of contract. He's given us 5 years. We bought him for 100 when he was 23. We are letting him go for around 50 when he's 28 in 1 year with 1 year remaining on his contract. That's not a bad deal at all. I think we should take that if we get the chance. We should bid Pogba goodbye, and I'm pretty sure Pogba will have fantastic moments wherever he goes. And we'll all, when he goes to a different club, we'll always talk about why he couldn't do this Manchester United, which I think again is a very stupid argument. But as far as all things are concerned, my stance remains on him the same. That this summer we should sell Paul Pogba and use that money to invest in a different player that will improve the squad.
Okay, Wally, what are your thoughts about Paul Pogba situation?
Um I understand what Anshuman is trying to say over here about him getting sold and we would be getting money, but I honestly don't think that Manchester United are in the mood of selling him this season because if you look at uh, the way that he's being marketed, even if you look at the the away kit that was launched, he was like the first person to pop up over there. And these are the basically signs over here. These are hints. Other than that, you saw Solskjaer also having a word about him in the press conference after the match against Derby County, and he said that he'd play an important role for us. And then another point recently which came out was that Paul Pogba actually had a really long chat with Rafael Varane and convinced him to join Manchester United. And I honestly didn't see Varane joining Manchester United if Paul Pogba wasn't there because, like at the end of the day, you're a human being and you would rather prefer going to a place where you actually know someone. Like if you go to a new place, you would actually prefer there like someone being there who you already know of. So I think that also played a major part. And about this season in particular, I don't think that he'll be going. And the contract extension will be based on how we perform this season. For example, if we are aiming for the Premier League title, if we are going the distance in the Champions League, winning the FA Cup, etc., I think mid-season you will see Paul Pogba putting pen to paper. But if if we do something similar of what we did last season, like crashing out of the group stages of the Champions League and not, God forbid, not qualifying for the top four, then you could say that he's probably going on a free next season. But I think United are ready to take the gamble this season. I think they are persisting with him, and it's surely going to be based on the performance. If United perform well, I think he's going to put pen on paper. And yes, for some people, like it's going to be Mino Raiola all over again. But this is what I think will happen. He's staying this season. Next season, he might go for free if he don't perform, and that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I also think that he's going to stay partly because he doesn't want PSG to be his next destination. He wants a big club, and a big club by that I mean he wants Real Madrid. But Real Madrid don't have the funds right now. Real Madrid don't have the funds to have a proper transfer for him. They are looking at Kylian Mbappe as the next big transfer,
When will they sign him?
or probably Erling Haaland. Out of these two,
Yeah.
they are going for one, and that is going to be the black blockbuster signing. Paul Pogba, he wants. I think what is going to happen is that he wants to wait up until January, where deals will pop up for him, where clubs will come in about his salary about the next season. That we are offering you this, and Manchester United will have to give the most money at that point. I think Paul Pogba is going to have a big deal, his final deal that is going to be the longest deal that he'll have before finally having a shorter deals in his career. But they are looking out for him as he's going to get his biggest deal right now, and I think he's going to sign a 4 5 year contract with whatever clubs he signs for. And if he goes for Manchester United, I think it's going to be a huge uh, stamp on the wage bill, so he must perform. If he goes to Real Madrid would be happy to take him next year for free. PSG, I think he'll use PSG as a bait for Manchester United to lure in a big contract. So this is going to be interesting for Manchester United fans and for Paul Pogba as well. But we'll have to wait for this. I guess this is going to be a long saga, and we'll have to wait up until the next transfer window. I don't think that he's going right now. I uh, I would like to go let him go right now, although, but I don't think that he's going because I'm a fan of Paul Pogba. Everybody who knows me knows that I like Paul Pogba very much. But it's just that it's too much of a hassle with all Mino Raiola and with all the shenanigans. It's too much of a hassle. We have Van de Beek. We can look forward with him, and we can sign other players with the money that comes in with Paul Pogba. So yeah, that
You
were
re-
my thoughts, and
you
I
remember
think your thoughts.
when Ronaldo left, we signed Oberton, Bebe,
Uh,
and Michael Owen.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
honestly don't trust the Glazers to replace him, man. So
No,
we'll
no.
see.
If we get Saul Niguez and Kamavinga, I'll be more than happy if Paul
Yeah,
Pogba
I think
goes.
Kamavinga is the next big thing. I honestly feel that.
Uh, Kamavinga and Saul Niguez, if they come in and Paul Pogba goes, I'm more than happy that he's gone to PSG. Because although he's a very talented player and that he'll get you 10, 12 points on his own with his specialty if he performs. But it's just that the whole thing Paul Pogba adds on to the squad, the whole tension, the constant fidgeting around that is he going to be our player
Hmm.
and is he not going to be a player? This further transfers to the players as well because these kinds of things they add on, and I don't want them to add on to the players because I think this is going to be a very special squad this season. I think we can expect some special things from them, so it's going to be interesting. Uh, I think the final few things we need to talk about are the transfers. So, any final thoughts about who you want and who you want in and out of the squad from the rest of the transfer window? I'll talk to Anshuman first about it.
Well, I think as far as the exits go, I think let's see, Andres Pereira should be going. I think Jesse Lingard has a pretty good deal lined for himself. I think he should go to West Ham. I'll be very happy for the guy. And I think let's see. Well, I think Phil Jones should leave. I don't think that is going to happen. But here's my opinion on Phil Jones. I'll be pretty quick about it. I think he's a good defender. I don't think he's a Manchester United quality defender, but I think he's a good defender whose reputation has been reduced to absolute cinders because he makes funny faces. The same way Unai Emery's reputation was reduced to cinders because he couldn't pronounce evening right in what was his fourth
He's
or fifth
scored a lot
language.
of own goals
So
also, actually.
he has scored a lot of own goals. So
No,
has
but
Wissam
he has
Company
been a
has scored
decent
and
defender.
Richard Dunn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's just
yeah. What
about
I'm
the
saying is
few phases.
his reputation is a lot worse than player actually is. He's a good defender. He's a Premier League quality defender. The fact that he hasn't played for a long time also doesn't help us. So I think what we should do with Phil Jones right now is actually get him back to training, get him playing. He's 29. I think there is a Premier League club out there that will be happy to take him on loan, and after that we can maybe sell him for 5 to 10 million pounds. That is not an outlandish assumption. And I think those small transfers just amount to reduce our overall net spend. So that will encourage us to buy more players. That is all I can say. So Pereira, Lingard, and even if Phil Jones goes out on loan, I think that is brilliant for our wage bill. So these three are the first players that I think. And because Tom Heaton is signed, I was expecting some goalkeeper to go, either Lee Grant, but I'm not sure. Lee Grant has signed a new deal. Tom Heaton apparently is not supposed to be a third choice goalkeeper, and he's a fantastic goalkeeper. He was one of England's best before his long-term injuries knocked him out of Burnley and then Aston Villa. So the goalkeeping situation has just become much more and more complex because De Gea and Henderson, both are sticking around. So let's see what happens there. Otherwise, I'm not. I have no issues. I think Axel to Ansebi, for him, this is a very good opportunity to go out on loan. Aston Villa are looking for him. He was pretty decent for them in the championship season. So I think he has that one chance for him in which he can go out on loan. And then next season we can decide whether to keep him or Lindelof or buy. So we'll have four a decent pair of two pair of decent defenders. Esteban will be out on loan. A lot of young players who are already out on loan. I think we can keep Diogo Dalot for one season because as much as I like Kieran Trippier, I think he has really grown over the last 2 years. Atletico Madrid are understandably not wanting to let him go and asking 40 million euros for him, which I think is outlandish for a 30-year-old. I don't think we should go for that right now. I think Diogo Dalot will want to stick up if he's ready to stick around for one season. I think that's pretty decent, and that will give us two right backs. I would much rather have prefer to keep Brendan Williams into the squad for another season because I think on the left you have two left backs in Luke Shaw and Alex Telles. Here you have two right backs in Van Bissaka and Dallo. So he would be the one who could play both sides of those fullback positions. So that is what I would have liked, but apparently from reliable reports, he's going on a season-long loan. I don't think that is a bad idea either. So yeah, those are the players that I think could be leaving. I think Martial has one final season in him. I think he should stick around because next season again Cavani will be leaving, so we will have to figure out what to do with the whole situation as well. So I think this is the season he's leaving, and Pogba, as we have talked about, I think this is as good chance as we are going to have to make money on it.
Okay, Wally, final thoughts about the transfers. Who do you want in? Who do you want out?
Let's talk about who I think should leave the club. I think, yes, Andres Pereira is always the first name that comes out of our mouths. And I think if it's 25
Not
million
Phil
for Andres
Jones.
Pereira, I think,
Not Phil
yeah,
Jones.
Phil Jones as well. But I don't think anyone's going to buy him. I don't know what's wrong with Phil Jones or anyone else, but I don't
It's
think
about
anyone's
the
going to buy
wage.
him. For,
He's
yeah,
his wage is too much for any other club to afford him.
yeah, and then, he basically a championship side like a QPR or anyone else would have signed him, but like you said, the wage bill is in excess. And yeah, I think it should be Andres Pereira because I think we can get 20-25 million, which is actually quite good if you look at Andres Pereira, with all due respect. And then uh, Phil Jones, if I had the option, I would want him out. If we get a CDM, I think Nemanja Matic should also leave because I don't think that he's going to get much game time. He wasn't used as frequently in the previous season as well, so there's no point of keeping him. He's 33 years. He's not getting any younger. So I think Matic, we could get some good money from Matic, and Jose Mourinho. It's like one of his sons. He's a really big fan of Nemanja Matic, so we can sell him to Jose. And Axel to Anzebi, it hasn't worked. It's quite unfortunate. He had glimpses of being a quality centre back, but I just don't think it's going to work. And Brandon Williams, I don't fancy him at all. I think he has a lot of work to do. I think he should be sold. So these are some players that I think shouldn't be at the club. But the players that we are going to sell, I think it's just going to be Pereira and Wanzebi on loan, and that's about it. But the
Lingard,
players that I don't think that we're going to sell Lingard
Lingard,
because
Dan James.
Lingard he's been used quite frequently in preseason games, and he's actually been performing quite well. And even if you look at his Instagram post, he's quite happy to be at Manchester United. So, and he's a local boy, so I think it would be good for Manchester United and their PR team as well to have a Manchester United local boy. But he is a good player. I like him. And if we talk about the incomings, I think Saul Niguez and a right back. I would want Diego Dallo to stay, but since Solskjaer doesn't fancy him, I think Trippier would be a good backup option because like he has the experience. He
I don't
knows how
know
to play
about
the big
this.
stage
I don't know
for the
about this
Trippier
whole
one.
Trippier situation. Yeah, I mean, it's not required. We can't just spare change for Kylian Trippier. If we can't sign a CDM, I don't think Kylian Trippier makes sense. We have a decent right
No, the
back
thing,
in Ironman
no, but the
Bissaka,
thing is
and
that
if you
Van
really need a
Bissaka has
backup,
been, yeah, yeah,
if
has
we really need if we really need a right back option, we can try Delo for at least one season. Delo is a
yeah,
quality
we can.
defender. He has
I
shown
do not
this
know.
in AC Milan. I don't know what's the problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I really think that Diego Delo can be a
I
great option.
to be very honest, I would prefer Jadon Sancho and Diego Dallo on the right because Jadon
Yeah,
Sancho needs a right back or a wing back who
overlapping.
is
Yeah,
actually quite, yeah, an
overlapping. Yeah,
overlapping wing back. And Van Bissaka, although he's like one of the best one-on-one defenders in the Premier League, while going forward, he looks a little dodgy. He looks shaky, and I don't think Jadon Sancho would enjoy that as much. As much he would prefer Diego Dalot. But since Solskjaer doesn't prefer Dalot, that is the reason why I'm saying that probably Trippier would be a good option. But yeah, we'll have to wait and watch.
We'll have to wait and watch, I guess. I think that's it from our side about the transfer, Manchester United, Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. We'll be talking to you guys really soon when Rafael Varane is officially unveiled, and we'll have something substantial about Rafael
New
Varane
Jersey,
future
Dubai.
prospect. New Jersey to buy you, please. You don't buy. Please, really, I'm begging you, don't.
I
I'll
need
give you.
Rafael Varane's jersey.
Yeah, I'll give you money in a while to not wear United jersey. Okay.
Nah,
Especially
man.
not with the
This time it's
player's
gonna
name
work.
on it.
This
No,
time
man,
it's gonna
please
work.
don't. You
This time it's
wore
gonna
a
work.
Martial jersey and the guy had the worst season of his life.
I destroyed his
Okay.
career. I
He's still
destroyed.
not able to recover from the injury, man. Come on, leave the guy fucking alone.
Okay, I'll try Donny Van de Beek's jersey because probably
Shut up, Bully. Please
it would
leave
have
the
the reverse.
guys alone.
It might have the reverse effect.
Leave the guys alone, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's it. I think our thoughts are very much clear. Kamavinga, Solnikes will be a huge, huge bonus for any United fan. We are happy with the transfer window at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see. And we'll talk to you guys really soon again when officially Varane is unveiled. Up until then, it's good night from us at One Night Me, Paratosh Joshi, along with Anshuman Joshi and Bari Siddiqui. Good night and see you guys again later.